joining us tonight at our City Council meeting tonight. We'll go ahead and get started. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Addison. Here. Gray.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Black.
Here. Thank you. We'll move on. If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which, if you would remain standing for an invocation which will be offered by Karen Peace, representing the Baha'i faith.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence they are all thy servants, and all mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all, dost shelter all, confers life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let the religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind.
Thank you. Let me see. We have, if you are here for agenda item number 10, we have pulled it from the agenda this evening, and it will be on an agenda in the future.
July 5th.
July 5th. That's not true. Okay, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by one motion and a vote. If any one member of the council so desires, any matter listed can be moved to a separate agenda item. A, minutes. Council may wish to waive the oral reading of the minutes and approve the minutes from the City Council executive session on October 24, 2017, clarification and regular council meeting of October 19, 2017, and November 2nd, 2017, and the City Council executive session and special City Council meeting of November 9, 2017. B, payroll and material claims. Council may wish to consider payroll and material claims for the month of November 2017. Good evening, Joyce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Joyce Stroshine, Chief Financial Officer for the City. Tonight I'm presenting the payroll and material claims report for the month of November. Payroll and material claims totaled $5,258,119. Payroll-related claims were $3,447,654. We had 680 employees at the end of the month. We had changes in filled positions, an increase of 5 in the full-time status, a decrease of 5 in the part-time status, and a decrease of 1 in the seasonal status for an overall decrease of 1. Vendor claims totaled $1,810,465. Large vendor claims of $10,000 or more presented for your review. I've highlighted 3 vendor payments. Merrick Cells LLC, $281,242. This is for water pollution control plant, a 2017 Ford Camera van. High Plains Drilling Incorporated, $70,800. Water Department, it's the North Pocatello Test Well on Butte. LTAC, $43,372. Federal aid projects, its professional services for the Center Street underpass rehab. This report explains 78.39% of all vendor claims for the month. On the back of the report, I presented you with the November purchase card activity. We had 1,273 transactions in the month of November, which totaled $295,903. I had 155 cardholders use their card this month. 6 purchase agents had monthly totals greater than $10,000, and the types of expenditures are listed for your review. This concludes my report, subject to any questions.
Any questions, Council? Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you.
Move on to Agenda Item C, Airport Commission appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Mike Ennis to serve as a member of the Airport Commission, replacing Dwayne Sudwick's, whose term expired. Mr. Ennis' term will begin December 8, 2017, and will expire December 8, 2019. D, Animal Shelter Advisory Board appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Daniel Linehan to serve as a member of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board, replacing Stephanie Adams, who resigned. Mr. Linehan's term will begin December 8, 2017, and will expire February 2, 2018. E, Child Care Advisory Committee appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Heather Kemp to serve as a member of the Child Care Advisory Committee, replacing Judy Boren, whose term expired. Ms. Kemp's term will begin December 8, 2017, and will expire December 8, 2021. F, Construction Board of Appeals and Review reappointments. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Michael Bright and Terry Swallow to continue their service as members of the Construction Board of Appeals and Review. Both terms will begin December 31, 2017 and expire December 31, 2019. G, 2017 Police Retirement Board election. Council may wish to acknowledge the winners of the Police Retirement Board election held on November 6, 2017 were Tim Hillebrand, Steve Stewart, and Travis Wellham. The winners of the board election will take office on January 4, 2018. H, council decision vacation of city's right-of-way along a portion of Wedgeway. Council may wish to adopt this decision to vacate the public's interest in right-of-way along a portion of Wedgeway in the adjacent public utility easement. I, council decision, the 14th hole subdivision, final short plat. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving the final short plat for the 14th hole subdivision, which subdivides approximately .78 acres of land into 3 residential lots, subject to conditions. The property is located at the end of Wedgeway and is zoned residential medium-density single-family RMS and will have access via Wedgeway. J, council decision, Mountain West subdivision, Division 1, final plat. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving the final plat for Mountain West subdivision, Division 1, which subdivides approximately 9.889 acres of land into 93 lots, 91 residential and 2 common, subject to conditions. The property is located in the 4200 block of Hawthorne Road, is zoned residential, commercial, professional, RCP, and will have access from Mountain West Drive. K, property purchase. Council may wish to approve and authorize the mayor to sign documents related to an offer allowing the city to purchase property not owned by a public agency, subject to legal department review. Details of said property were discussed in an executive session held November 9, 2017, which was immediately followed by a special city council meeting where city council approved a motion to allow city representatives to make an offer on said property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnston and a second by Orr. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Johnston?
Yes.
Orr?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 4 is communication and proclamations. We do not have any proclamations, but I'm going to guess that we have some scouts that are here. So which one of you want to stand up and tell us what troop you're in and where you're from? Do you remember what troop you're in? Make it up if you don't. Just pretend like you do.
369, Pocatello.
Super. Thank you for being here.
That's a big one.
Appreciate you being here. We'll move on to agenda item number 5 is a calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings and events that should be called to their attention. On December 14 at 9 a.m. will be a study session. On December 21, 1 p.m. study session clarification working lunch. 5:30 p.m. An agenda clarification meeting, and then at 6 p.m. a regular council meeting. Other events on December 9, Wild Winter Weekends at the Zoo, Idaho, noon to 4 p.m. December 14 and 15 is a Pocatello Regional Transit 30th Annual Holiday Lights Tour. Tickets are available at the transit office. The Marshall Public Library has shortened service hours in December. The hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Regular hours will return on January 2nd. Community Recreation Center will be closed on the following dates for the holidays. December 24th, Christmas Eve. December 25th, Christmas Day. December 31st, New Year's Eve. And January 1st, New Year's Day. On December 16 is the Parks and Recreation Holiday Hoopla from 2 to 4 at Dick's Sporting Goods. For any information, please contact the Parks and Rec Department. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, acceptance canvass votes for 2017 general election. Council may wish to accept the canvass election results for the City of Pocatello general election held on November 7, 2017. Bannock County Commissioners serving as Board of Canvassers of Election have provided signed abstracts of all votes cast within the city limits.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we accept the results of the City of Pocatello general election as stated, as canvassed.
Second.
I've got to go with Johnston. He tried to second before the motion was finished, so. Got a motion by Orr and a
But
second.
that would have been an incomplete second.
That's right.
Oh, you know what? We got a motion by Orr and a second by Moore then.
Thank you very much.
Bring up a really good point.
I'm not sure I want to second it anymore.
Yeah.
You withdraw?
Oh, yeah, withdraw.
Connie, could you please call the roll?
Orr,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Adamson. Yes. Gray.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, public hearing annexation of land north of East Chubbuck Road. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public regarding a request by Town Center JV, Portneuf Development LLC, Millennial Development Partners, Robert Hart, the Portneuf Health Trust Incorporated, represented by Todd Young and Mike Jaglowski, to annex and zone approximately 296.82 acres of land north of East Chubbuck Road and east of Interstate 15. The proposed zoning for the property is commercial general residential, commercial professional, residential estate, and residential medium density single family with a comprehensive plan land use map designation to be applied per municipal code 17.02.110. At their meeting on November 8, 2017, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request. I declare the public hearing open. Council, has there been any ex parte contacts?
I've spent a lot of time looking at that land.
So
So we're supposed to digest your
I drive by there.
you
But I
drive by
feel
there
like I can
daily.
still participate.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would turn the time over to Buck.
All right. My name is Buck Swaney. My address is, I'm going to give my home address, okay?
Just tell us where you're from, Utah.
I'm from Utah. And I'm here representing, as you read into the record, the consortium of landowners who are involved in this annexation application. First, I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and to discuss these things with you. Second, as you saw on the notice that went out, it indicated Todd Young and Mike Jaglowski, they've asked me to represent tonight in their stead. And so with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick overview of what we're doing. And literally, we've trimmed the slides here to just a couple tonight. I think that people have a pretty good sense from the prior meetings and and from the materials that were circulated with them, what we're working on. And so with that said, it is 296 and change acres. The location, I'm going to go ahead and point at a couple of things here. Right there is the Portneuf Wellness Center, okay? And where the middle of my pointer is Chubbuck Road. This would be the extension of Olympus Road to the north, Olympus Drive, excuse me, and then ultimately making its way out to the future interchange. I'm going to click through this and give a little more detail. You can see the color coding for the different zoning details that are requested in the application tonight. There are a couple of larger zoning classifications. You see that goldish color, that's residential, commercial, professional, and within that area you would see a few different kinds of land uses emerge, and we'll have a map that gives a kind of a draft concept for that in just a moment. You also see that there in the blue area there, kind of down below, we have what will be primarily residential, medium density, single family units. So you would expect to see just very, very nice homes in there. The red area, which I've obscured a little bit of it, I'm sorry about that, would be zoned to commercial general. And we'll talk about the different things that it ultimately would contain. And then a couple of small areas where you would have residential estate lots, some significant open space, and some right-of-way acreage that fits into this total. Okay? Now, one of the things that we thought you would have some questions about is, as you enter this application for annexation and zoning, what kinds of land uses specifically might you see in there? What's going to go in there? And I'm going to give you a draft of a kind of a site plan that we might put into place going forward, but it would at least help you to understand what this kind of a zoning application would ultimately reflect as it turns into actual land use on the landscape. And of course, this is subject to change because we haven't completed the process of site planning or of platting or the fine details that come at later stages in this process. But basically, right there, I'm going to point out a few key things, right? So this is designed to show you, given the zoning that's been put in place, what kinds of things could potentially go in there. Okay, so I'm going to start down here in the lower corner. That's RCP zoning, and that allows us to do a couple things like some minor commercial, but also some medium and higher density residential, kind of right in here. All of this area in the middle would be single family homes. And then as you move over into here, this is also RCP, and that allows the same mix. You would likely see something like apartments, condominiums there, and some perhaps kind of medium box development in here along the freeway frontage. And as you move across, this area here where you have the commercial general zoning, we expect to be pursuing and working on developing a mixed-use retail, office, and perhaps even a little residential in the concept, but of course consistent with what the zone allows. And as we move on up the hill, there's a couple of other things in particular. One is a medical campus, and then a setting where we have space for several large office buildings that would be built out over time and as certain economic development events occur in the city and in the county. A few other features of this that we want to bring to your attention or talk about is that we've gone through some pretty painstaking efforts to do true walkability, bikeability, and all of this has been designed from the get-go to be able to allow people to move around it in a much more efficient pattern without having to have automobiles at the center of life everywhere. And so when we do walkable, bikeable design, there's a few things that we're trying to connect. We've got the wellness center down there, which is represented by that park space icon. We have housing, we have entertainment, we have shopping, and we have offices and workspaces. And they're all put in such a close, nice proximity that once you're in the space, you can really effectively get around in a very, very short distance. And so this is a little bit more let's call it intense kind of development. It's all put together very carefully, but it's made in a different way than any of the development in this valley has ever been made. And so Northgate's going to be a place here where we're able to connect those things. And of course, this application tonight is at the heart of the whole program for us, developing the right way so that the impact has low development impacts. It is good for the environment. It's good for the health of the people who live here, work here, play here, and it is very, very responsible type of development. So we wanted to give you this image to help you understand how this particular zoning request might translate into actual uses on the land. All right, and again, just to reiterate, and this is my final slide and the end of the presentation, we're representing several specific entities. All of the people in the land ownership group here for this annexation request include the Town Center JV, Portneuf Development, Millennial Development, the Portneuf Health Trust, and Bob Hart, Robert Hart, who couldn't be here tonight. So with that, I'll just go ahead and push pause and ask if there's any questions that you would like to direct toward me.
Questions real quick? Good.
I have one. Buck, there's been a lot of discussion, banter in the media and such that we don't have a lot of information. One question I'd like to have, if you can answer, is at the present time, is there any contractual capital agreements with commercial entities that have committed by contract to come in and build and participate in this endeavor?
Yes. And I'm not able, for a number of reasons, to be specific.
Is there a dollar amount of what you would estimate the capital of?
I should not disclose that, and I apologize for that, but there are actual capital partners who have made specific commitments and investments, and so the work of bringing this land to market is really what this application and process tonight is about, is to take it to the next step so that we can continue and succeed in the efforts to market and develop this commercial land.
But that would be forthcoming soon once this starts rolling.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Super. Any other questions for Buck real quick? Thank you, Buck. Thank you, Buck. Melanie.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Melanie Gigley, Planning and Development Services. As noted in the agenda and from what you've heard from the applicants, this is for annexation and zoning of about 297 acres of land, extending the corporate boundaries north of East Chubbuck Road and east of Interstate 15. The request is in statutory compliance with State Code Section 50-222 as a Category A annexation, where all private applicants or landowners have consented to annexation. In this case, the applicants are all of the property owners within the proposed annexation area. The property is within the city's urban service boundary with a designation of mixed use on the comprehensive plan land use map. You've heard a description of the requested zoning, which will allow for a mix of development options that Buck went over briefly, as well as the open space. Following a public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission on November 8th, 2017, they recommended approval of the annexation and zoning and comprehensive plan map change as follows. The zoning, as described, commercial general, about 145 acres. Residential commercial professional, about 108.5 acres. This is actually going to include, it was shown up there as open space, but where our zoning ordinance does not contain an open space zoning designation, we're recommending the application of RCP, which is what other parks and community recreation facilities are zoned. So it fits in with the zoning we already have. Residential medium density single family, about 32.5 acres. Residential estate of 2. The comp plan map change designations will be to support that requested zoning and are shown in Exhibit 2 of the information you have in front of you. Calculation of the needed water source or equivalent payment will be completed as development occurs and made part of development and annexation agreements. This hearing was noticed to all property owners within 300-foot radius of the land to be annexed and zoned so that they could come and provide comment to you. Notice was published in the Idaho State Journal and signs were posted. And it's a little difficult to post signs out there on this property, but at the intersection of Olympus and Chubbuck and at the western portion of the land. One comment was received prior to tonight's hearing via the city's website, and this was provided to you at your pre-agenda clarification meeting. That's what I have for you. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Are we required to make sure that water comes now, or is that later? Or if they pay for it?
Practice has been, by resolution and then policy, to do it as the development occurs. We don't know the exact parameters of the water that's needed, so rather than requiring either too small a payment or too big a payment, we'll do it at the time of platting.
Okay, so that's a
And it will be in the annexation.
issue.
Yes.
Okay.
It's more of a development issue.
Mayor, one quick question, and you may not be able to answer it. At the present date, how many dollars do you know have been committed by government agencies within Bannock County? That would be the City of Pocatello, Pocatello Development Authority, and Bannock County Commission.
Okay, to the...
Chubbuck.
And Chubbuck.
Okay.
Yeah, right, but Chubbuck doesn't count.
And I'm...
Bit my tongue on that last part. They do count.
For the interchange development, there has been public monies. The city committed, I believe, $500,000. The PDA committed $2 million. Bannock County, I kind of hate to misquote, but it's
We won't hold you to it.
1.3 is what they've committed.
1.3. Okay, thank you. And that's to the interchange development itself.
Right.
I can't answer at all to what Chubbuck.
Yeah, okay, so a little over, what's that?
About.
3.8 million so far?
Yeah, I think 3.5 to 4, yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Now, Melanie, to clarify, that's been committed, that has not been spent.
It has not been spent. That's why I say it has been committed, and it's to the interchange itself, not to to this land development.
Okay. I want that out there, that one, and thank you, Mayor, for clarification. One, that's been committed, and two, the commitment thus far is to the interchange.
To the interchange, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Melanie.
You're very welcome.
Then we would move on to any testimony of those supporting the application.
Just put my initials. Anyway, Mike Seibert, 1665 Pocatello Creek Road. When this development first happened, I was kind of a little bit apprehensive on the size and the scope of it, and I was kind of worried about the impact on maybe the rest of the city. But more I thought about it and thought about everybody deserves to develop their property. And they ought to, and it's pure capitalism. If it draws more of the market area to the north, well, other people just need to adjust in a capitalistic nature. And more that comes out about this project, it looks like it's fairly planned out. The proposed zoning seems to fit how things would flow, and with a less of an impact of the adjacent area. And I think it looks like a good project. But the only thing we need to do is we got the mayor, the council, and the planning staff just make sure that it grows in a manner that it don't cost the rest of the community a lot of capital and additional fees for ongoing services. So as long as it's self-supporting, it's these people's money, they have the right to risk it. Okay. And the only suggestion I have is on your zoning boundary is you've included Chubbuck Road west of Olympus to the interstate to be in the city of Pocatello. There's no reason for the city to take over that road because the county already takes care of Fairgrounds Road and takes care of just so move the boundary to the north side of the right-of-way, let the county do the maintenance on it. Okay? And then in 5-10 years, this goes down, it might come in. But also another aspect of that is the West Chubbuck, or the Chubbuck overpass. If you own roads and stuff that approach it and connect to it, if there's a $50 million replacement, your cost share could be higher. So if you're not connected to it, you have a better negotiating point to say how much you're going to chip in to replace it. We know we have that $50 million Flying Y replacement project, and nobody knows how it's really going to turn out. I have a feeling that maybe the overpass might just end up being a minor walking path or something. But anyway, so there's no reason to take care of that. East Chubbuck Road, or bring it into the street department, have them maintain more road that they don't need to. Because I think it'll be 4 or 5 years before it even comes into impact. You already only own half Olympus Road up towards Chubbuck, and that's the county. Well, they want it, let them keep it, let them maintain it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike. Any others supporting the application? Any uncommitted to the... Okay, you supporting it? You're going to have to move faster, folks. Sorry.
Mayor and Council, Keevan Shropshire, JHS Architects, 125 North Garfield, Pocatello. I wanted to address the Mayor and Council this evening just to show support for this project. I've been a member of this community going on 30 years now, and obviously my profession has interest in seeing the community grow. But I also wanted to let you know, some of you already know, but I've had both personal and professional experience in dealing with the community's zoning and ordinance issues, going on 19 years now, representing the city on some of those aspects. But when I see a development that's coming through like this, as Mr. Seibert just intimated, there is some concern when you see something of this magnitude. But what I want to do is commend the group that's put together this effort here to really make something, a positive change for this community. I think this is a wonderful thing, and they, like all other applications for anything that comes before the mayor and council, is going to have to deal with and solve working with the zoning and ordinance issues that are already in place here. And I like to assume that those zoning and ordinances that they will have to comply with can do nothing but make Pocatello better. And I just wanted to stand up and show support for that.
Super. Thank you. Any others in support?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Walter Hart, and I am a descendant of Henry Hartwigson and Harry Hart, and I speak in favor of this annexation. Just a little history. Henry Bobo Hartwigson was my grandfather. He was a German immigrant who came through Ellis Island in 1894. His son Harry Hart was my grandfather. Harry shortened the formal name just to Hart in the 1930s during his rodeo career. My family came to Southeast Idaho over a century ago. My grandparents, along with other family farmers, broke out this land, and broke out the land on this east bench. And by broke out, I mean that they worked their fingers to the bone, removing 6-foot tall sagebrush, thick as thieves, tilling the land with teams of mules, digging ditches by hand. Only by tremendous labor did they turn this land from a natural high desert habitat to a land of lush farm fields. So for many years, these families worked these lands. So generations of blood, sweat, and tears went into farming of this land. Our ranch even operated as a dairy through the Great Depression. Delivery was via team of mules, and they went to some horses, and apparently they got a 1928 Model T town wagon that they did their deliveries with. And like my grandpa told me, everybody needs milk, eggs, and cheese, right? It would take years of hard work for my grandpa to amass his farming and cattle ranching empire. As a kid, I remember getting up at before the crack of dawn, going with my grandpa, working all day. Under his tutelage, we went feeding the cows, moving sprinklers, loading seeders, even driving grain trucks, et cetera, et cetera. Everything that we did that was needed to keep that ranch going. Those were the good old days, but times have changed. Farming families find it harder and harder to earn a living. Back in the story of an old farmer who was getting interviewed years ago, and they asked him, why he wasn't going to be farming anymore. And he told them, well, the 1950s, the price for a bushel of grain was $2.65. Buy a new combine for $6,000. Well, here in the 90s, well, this was some years ago, but price of a bushel of grain, still $2.65. Buy a new combine, about $300,000. So, and it's even gone up since then. Get short of it, several years back, the Harts met with a group of developers, which led to the development of the Heartland Estates along Chevick Road.
Walter, we've got 3 minutes for this, and your time's up.
Time's up.
But I'm gonna indulge you just a little bit. I'm not gonna do this for anybody else in the audience, and so don't take advantage of this one.
Mayor, I appreciate the.
But I appreciate the Hart family and what they've done for this project and working with everybody, and so I'm going to indulge you for another few seconds. So.
Okay, I'll get to it. Some say that there might have been some coercion that got us into this, but I can emphatically tell you that we were pressured in, never have been pressured into any type of deal. Since the first days of the Heartland Estates, we've been presented with a wealth of opportunity, and we've made our own decisions regarding what was best for our family. And now we have an opportunity to make our community a better place for all. Northgate project can be a boon for all parties involved. It is a great tax base for the city, a wonderful vista for those to live and work from, new growth, new jobs, new businesses, restaurants for their dining experience, and a synergistic relation to the Portneuf Wellness Complex. So one thing, there's more, but I just want to say that there's an amazing view that has not been seen by many. From the head of Buffalo Creek, which is the upper end, east end of our property, on a clear day, you can see the entire American Falls Reservoir, the Big Butte, both twin sister buttes, and the snow-capped peaks of the Sawtooth Range. Pretty priceless view.
Absolutely.
We'd be sharing that with all those that want to come have an experience up there. It's been good for the community, for everybody involved in it. I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any others supporting the application? Any uncommitted to the application? Okay. Looks like I got 3 of you ready to go. So.
Good evening, City Council and community members. My name is Sylvia Martinez, and I am a retired speech therapist, 3rd generation Idahoan, and come from farming community in Magic Valley. I am grateful to hear both sides of the story. I'm not opposed to development, but I am very much interested in the public having a little more input into what types of development, what types of businesses and growth there is going to be. I understand there will be residential, there will be jobs, there will be shopping malls and restaurants and so on, but I think that the City Council should definitely think a little bit harder about approving this in a manner that is not maybe understood by the full public in this community. I think there needs to be maybe a postponement of 6 months to a year to look at this matter a little bit more deeply. I know everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon, and these gentlemen probably are reputable, but I have seen other proposals throughout my lifetime that sound real glitzy and very, that could be beneficial for a lot of people that have money, and sometimes those don't always pan out. So that's all the time I wanted to take to tell you that I think you need to slow down a little bit and maybe give it 6 months to a year, have a little bit more input from the community, from the public, concerning water, concerning downtown development, maybe the Shoshone-Bannock tribes. I don't know if they've had much input into this development. And I believe that's all the comments I need to make. And thank you for your time.
Super. Thank you, Sylvia. There you go. Yeah, I was going to say, if you would write your name down there,
You
I'd
betcha.
appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Now, I know you wanted to speak too, so why don't you jump up while she's writing your name down. Thank you.
Hi, Diana Scow, 1709 South on Elm Street. And I just want to introduce myself. Last time I was at one of these meetings, someone called me a young lady. I'm actually a 48-year-old professional. I have 2 master's degrees and a PhD. And my area of expertise is public health. And I want to talk to you about public health and the Northgate development. The first thing I want to talk about is what really creates a happy, healthy, sustainable community. Is it just about bringing in money? No, it's not. The United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Health Organization all agree that it's more than just about money. You have to address other key variables. And key variables that really create healthy, happy people include money, which is important, but they also include healthy life expectancy, having someone to count on, generosity, freedom to make choices, and lack of government corruption. So how do you, as a council, address all of these issues relating to what might be development? Well, what you can do or create health in all policies. Health in all policies are policies that cross multiple sectors and put the well-being and quality of life of people at the forefront. That means that every policy that's created must address the well-being of people. And that doesn't matter whether you're in the agricultural sector, educational sector, transport sector, development sector, or the government. This needs to be done. Which brings me to the City of Pocatello ordinances as they currently stand. They're really not health in all policies. Why are they not health in all policies? They are not because they don't require projections to be made about public health concerns before asking people to develop opinions about annexations like Northgate. Projections about water quality and access, emissions, noise pollution, light pollution, access to emergency and public services, and housing prices should be projected for. And community members should understand what the ramifications will mean regarding all of these variables before you ask them to make a decision about annexation. To do anything else really is unjust to people's health, to their overall health. So I'm disturbed to hear that what I heard in one meeting is that if sufficient water can't be located at test well sites, water might actually be diverted from other sites. What does that mean? What sites? I don't know, but that does concern me as a public health professional and as a person. So I'm asking you to do what you did on November 16th regarding the electronic signs and billboards. Stop this process, take more time, think carefully about the public health of this community before charging forth and making this decision. I know you have the power because you did it on the 16th and you can do it again today. So please postpone making any votes today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know that you are also uncommitted, so
Well, make sure that committed.
Good day, Mayor, Council. My name is Eric Hancock. I live at 2435 Rulon, so just across the bike path from this new development. And I guess I'm generally supportive of the general philosophy behind annexing and growth in the city, but I'm reserved on the question of how the zoning plan and things look like. There's going to be a lot of benefits, but I think it's going to bring a lot of issues. And just as an example, right across the street is the lessons you can learn from the wellness complex and the development, the planning, the design, and a lot of the issues that weren't thought of, such as putting in a 12,000-seat amphitheater, but only 800 parking spaces. People don't go 10 to a car. I had personal issues when I was coming home from the airport one night. They closed off Chubbuck Road. I couldn't get home that way. I had to go all the way around, go up Satterfield. And how is that going to address the access coming off of the interstate for emergency, fire, police? I hear we have concerns about the water. What about the sewer? We just spent $25 million or so on the sewer plant. Does it have the capacity to take in another 5,000, 10,000 people, industry that's going in there? The traffic, the noise, the light pollution that will go in and maybe change the quality of life for those of us that live up in that area. I know the traffic on Satterfield and Chubbuck Road is already chaotic for the high school. If you're going to put more people in, and especially with the design I saw here, you're going to put a bunch of houses directly behind the amphitheater. It's great when you got a country music or somebody like Boston who you enjoy, but when it's the hard acid rock concerts, and if they get more and more of these concerts in, which we all hope they do, are people really going to want to live right downstream of that noise? I would think that maybe the rezoning and distribution could be thought of a lot better out there. So I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think the vision I saw is anything that I would be considering moving in, and most people that I know of millennials and so forth, would have some qualms about that density, the layout. I think access of people walking across Chubbuck Road to the amphitheater to the park doesn't show up there except on Olympus, unless you're going to put a light there or you're going to put a roundabout on Olympus and Chubbuck. That doesn't seem to be considered in this. So I think there's a lot more thinking into the actual zoning and the layouts that need to be discussed. But I think, the vision, the growth, those opportunities could certainly benefit. Is that my 3 minutes?
You got 10 more seconds.
Well, thank you all very much. And I do look forward for the positive benefits, but let's avoid the headaches that we've seen.
Super. Thank you, Eric. Any others uncommitted to the application? Any opposed to the application? Okay, then we would give Buck an opportunity to respond to some of these questions if you'd like to.
Yes. Thank you. Again, for the record, Buck Swaney. I appreciate hearing these kinds of things, and it's one of the tricky things about doing this is we do a lot of work. It's kind of like a duck on the water, right? It looks placid, but the feet are going crazy. To get to this point, there's some things the community probably doesn't know. We've been at this for 3 years. 3 years to get to this point, and we've had countless meetings. I literally cannot count them with the people who control the questions of water, environmental quality, sewer, power, IT connections, gas, every single thing that you can imagine. For us, very early in this process, we started vetting the viability of taking care of all of those issues and making sure that they could be managed from a regulatory standpoint that was safe and effective and efficient. So a couple of specific things that I want to point out to help in response to some of those public concerns you heard. One is the idea of postponement to think about or consider things for longer. There will be yet many additional public involvement opportunities, both through the Planning Commission and the City Council. Every time that we come for an application for annexation, for zoning, for platting, we're going to be doing so much public involvement on this thing that you guys are going to be sick of seeing me before we're all done. And so we've done an incredible amount already, but it's going to be ongoing for many, many years to come. And we'll always be managing carefully this set of issues. And so 3 years in at this point, with where we are now, we're talking about a couple hundred acres in well, I guess I have to say a few hundred acres in a key place that creates, to address one of the other concerns, a real solution to a deep, serious existing circulation problem in the county. These issues that were created by the Wellness Center going in, where it is a high-intensity use, it is underparked, the circulation and access is not adequate, not safe. The development community in this case has put many millions of dollars side by side with the city and the county money to create a safe traffic and circulation solution that will address both those needs, which don't belong to us, they belong to the community already, and our needs as well. And so as the design comes in, we're thinking about proper circulation in the roads, in the whole entire system, and what it does for the whole entire region. The less time those cars spend in traffic and idling, the better our air quality is. The more opportunities we create for people to leave a car behind and walk and bike to a place, the better the air quality is. Water quality and other things like that, we're using state-of-the-art practices for all of them. And so I am an urban planner by trade. I've been doing planning work for cities and counties across the Wasatch Front for 20 years, and every single best practice there is, I've been teaching people how to install and implement on projects. Northgate becomes the ultimate execution of many of those best practices learned over a very long and successful career. We're excited to bring them here. A couple of other things, and as we get into that wellness and healthy community discussion, I love that piece of information. I love what it means and the insight that goes into it. It's very difficult for a normal development pattern, 20 acres at a time, 10 acres here, 5 acres there, 20 units here, 3 units there. As that unfolds, it's incredibly hard to do wellness. It's incredibly hard to do public health. You just kind of get what you get. With a master plan community, you get a totally different opportunity, one that really does, in fact, prioritize wellness, that prioritizes connection, that prioritizes community, that prioritizes the opportunity to do things like shielded lights throughout the whole entire thing, right? And so we can manage questions like dark sky, and will manage questions like dark sky in everything that we do. Those are parts of the best practices that our development cares about. So as far as the unfolding of development in the Port-Neuf Valley over time, Northgate is going to be a very fantastic execution of best practices, and I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Finally, just to touch quickly on the idea of emergency fire, water, and sewer. That's also part of the master planning. As we look at these things, there's very normal metrics that we use to determine, given so many homes, so many people, how much park space do we need? Well, there's a metric for that. How many fire trucks do we need? There's a metric for that. How about ambulance times? There's a metric for that. And so as we go along with unfolding this development, we will manage every single one of those metrics to make sure that we have proper, adequate, not just adequate, but excellent service especially for the emergency services, and to make so that it's not a burden on members of the community, but Northgate comes to be something that really benefits and supports a good quality lifestyle for this generation and for future generations.
Great. Thank you. Questions?
Yes, sir.
Council President Brown.
Mr. Sweeney, if this action ends in a positive vote tonight, does that give you authorization, and are you prepared to begin construction tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow, because we have work to do with making those connecting roads, right? And so right now we're in the engineering process for the connecting roads. It's going to take until about the August timeframe for the freeway interchange to be constructed and completed, and the connection to open. And in that kind of, let's say, springtime to summertime timeframe, we'll be working on putting the major pieces of utility infrastructure in there and getting these sites ready for marketing and their own platting and development. And so this process is going to unfold now, at least in its first phase, the first part of the first phase. In 2018, there will be a lot of, supposing that we complete these actions tonight, there will be a lot of action out there with dirt turning and these connections being built.
Councilman Johnston.
Is there any reason in your mind that the City of Pocatello's existing staff and personnel that support projects like this cannot do what needs to be done?
No. At this point in time, the current existing staff, and this is not me assuming that they're not busy, because they're very busy, but they understand the project. They understand what it entails. They've been able to allocate adequate time. And I think that there will be a point in time where some of our growth might put you all in a place where an additional staff resource is needed, but at the same time, there would be building permits and fees and so forth that would be adding resources to the city to fund those additional administrative support needs.
So we're giving you the support that you need at this point, and you anticipate that we can continue to do that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So what I've heard you say is that by doing annexation, we just say that we're going to formalize our partnership with you now, and that partnership can develop into other things where maybe we've influenced things to this point, but we'll be able to mold or require based on what the city's statutes are. You're not a part of us yet. And this is a formalization of that relationship. If we annex this property, then the relationship we share with you is that we can say this is what we expect you to do, or we can have dialogue and negotiate that. But right now, all we're doing is saying, we're going to let you come into our city, and from there on, we will work with you as to what happens.
Yeah.
The only thing we're really permitting you to do with this annexation is put in the backbone structure of some utilities and a road.
That's right. That is correct. And so just for the public's benefit, if this were not approved tonight, this annexation and zoning package, then it would remain in the county, and you would be telling us, directing us effectively to go do this work through the county. And then Pocatello, of course, would not have its normal administrative and legal controls over the process and its outcomes. And so by entering this partnership, as you phrase it, Pocatello City is able to ensure that roads and other things are built to the city's design standards and requirements, that it's considered appropriate for the health, safety, and welfare of the community and so forth. So yeah, the partnership puts Pocatello in a place where it can ensure the quality of the development.
And so the infrastructure you're going to put is a general infrastructure, but it's not specific to residences or businesses or anything like that. It's the main power, it's the main road, that type of stuff. We haven't refined the expectation, and you haven't defined the expectation for all these other facets.
That is correct. That will come in next steps, next stages, and next applications.
Okay, Councilman Orr?
Well, Mr. Mayor, for clarification for those here tonight, I think it may be important to make it said, and our planning director could also come up and address that too, is that the action here tonight is only annexation. We're not determining any zoning or any roads areas or anything like that. This is solely and simply of annexing in this property to the city so that the city has oversight and a bigger input into how this goes forward as we look at those things that were brought up by all those who responded this evening. So please maintain and keep aware of what's going on as this goes forward so that you can have the input in these meetings. I'm hoping, and I've been told that there will be meetings, and you've talked about them, so that you can come and have input on because we do have intelligent people here in Pocatello and people that can think and can contribute. So please do that going forward.
So, Councilman Orr, I do want to clarify one thing. There is zoning. We are designating zoning
Are we designating zoning on these areas right now?
Yes, there is a zoning
I saw the map, but I thought we were just solely annexation
Well,
of
it's
the property.
annexing it, but there's also some zoning designations that we've put in there. I mean, as you look, you've got proposed zoning in property commercial general, residential commercial professional, residential estate, and residential medium density, single family, and comprehensive plan land use. So we are designating some zoning there as well. And now I know that they've worked with our planning department and they've worked this out, and I'm assuming you've got to have that zoning so that you can go to the businesses and say, we're zoned, we're ready, this is it. We're just taking a hurdle out of the way in the future.
That is correct. So the zoning this is an annexation and zoning application. However, it is not a platting application, not down to that fine-grained level. But this allows us to begin to build our master plan and to complete the process of bringing the properties to market. And without the zoning, we can't do that.
Okay, so, any other questions? Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Council, this item is before you. How do you wish to proceed?
Mayor.
Councilwoman Adamson.
I would move that we approve the request and that we instruct staff to prepare the ordinance as necessary.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Adamson and a second by Johnston. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Adamson.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Actually, Moore, you won last time. We gave it to you, not him.
I was going to get on.
I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Okay, agenda item number 8, resolution grant agreement for airport projects. Council may wish to approve and authorize the mayor to sign. Actually, I could wait. If people want to leave, we can wait a second. If you want to stick around, we would be happy to have you stick around. I thought they came here to see us. That's what Thank you.
I didn't realize that's
Did you call again? Most women.
well, I know, being 65 years old, being 48 is she got wrestled under looking for me for something.
She's got a lot of background that will be helpful.
Well, it is. It's just they do this stuff, you know.
Okay, we'll go ahead and continue on here. Agenda item number 8, resolution grant agreement for airport projects. Council may wish to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution grant agreement and other printed documents related to accepting a grant offer from the Idaho Transportation Department Division of Aeronautics to the grant is for $20,781 to reimburse expenses incurred against the fiscal year 2017 budget airport improvement project consisting of rehabilitation of runways 321 and 1735, rehabilitation of taxiways B and C design work for reconstruction of the northeast hangar access taxiway, and purchase of a plow truck with material spreader. The grant requires a city expenditure of $41,562.45, which was incurred using airport passenger facility charge funds already allocated for the project. Councilman Bray.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution grant agreement and the other pertinent documents related to accepting a grant offer from the Idaho Transportation Department.
Second. I gave you all the grants in the world.
He was back there going, I'm not doing it.
Get out of here.
He's gone away from me. So we have a motion by Gray and a second by Johnston. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Gray.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, Sanitation Department Equipment Sole Source Expenditure and Declaration. Council may wish to accept the recommendation of sanitation staff and declare the purchase of a 2018 Peterbilt left-handed model 220 cab and chassis with a Bridgeport left-handed CSC Packer body to be a valid sole source expenditure. This equipment purchase in the amount of $207,416 will be permanently used for dumping 96-gallon carts on the left-hand side of the city's one-way streets. Council may wish to authorize the mayor to sign documents related to the purchase, subject to the legal department review. Funds for this request have been allocated in the Sanitation Department fiscal year 2018 budget. Councilman Moore?
Mr. Mayor, I've moved to approve the purchase. Second.
We got to do the other part.
We got to declare sole purchase.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that in his
Yeah.
motion. It was to declare it a sole source as well, or?
I can declare that.
It's sole source because there's not a lot of left-handed equipment out there.
And authorize you to sign, subject to legal review. Yeah.
And you're okay with that?
So that'd be the one you could drive through.
That's right.
It's a team effort.
So we have a motion by Moore, thank you very much, and a second by Johnston. I'm just curious, do you have to be left-handed to drive the truck? It helps. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Moore.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10 was pulled from the agenda, and so agenda item 11, discussion items. This time has been set aside to hear discussion items not listed on the agenda. Items which appear somewhere else on the agenda will not be discussed at this time. The council is not allowed to take any official action at this meeting on matters brought forward under this agenda item. Items will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled on a subsequent agenda. You must sign in at the beginning of the meeting in order to be recognized. And we have nobody that has signed in, so with that, we appreciate your attendance. Thank you very much. Thank you, council, for your work today, and with that, we are adjourned.